I lived through that, and I was right at the heart of it because I was really at the center of a disintegrating regime. And so I know what it is like. I've seen it. And something similar is happening in the West, but you didn't have a collapse. You had a financial crisis now, where the market actually did collapse, but then it was kept alive by the authorities. So now people don't realize that the system actually has collapsed. So there's a lot of confusion. I think that the whole economic theory has to be rethought.
This is what capitalism in general, because capitalism has probably not as worked as much as we thought it would.
We have some false ideas about markets. You know, it's been assumed that markets tend towards equilibrium, and it's only government interference and other external factors that disrupt the tendency towards equilibrium. And that is actually a totally false conception, because markets just as easily create what is called bubbles as they do tend towards equilibrium.
And this is really your theory of reflexivity.
That's right.
Do you think people should understand it more? Do people?
Very much so. I wrote a book called The Age of Fallibility, and there I argued that we've had the age of reason with the Enlightenment, and we have had 200 years of Enlightenment, and during those 200 years we discovered that actually reason doesn't prevail, and that our understanding is fallible, and we now have to learn to live in a world which we don't fully understand. And we have to realize that our understanding is bound to be somehow biased, and that our bias actually influences then what happens. So it makes reality very difficult to understand because it's constantly changing.
But what can the West nowadays do to take the upper hand again, not to become lost in its ways?
Well, that's not so easy because there is really a lot of confusion, and I'm also confused. So don't think that I've got the ultimate truth, because if I did, I would be contradicting my own beliefs.
And so what do you say to the people that say, oh, but you're the man who broke the Bank of England?
Well, I happen to understand what was going on.
Mr. Soros, what was your strength as an investor and as a financier? Because it seems that you're always looking to actually break the mold. As you were explaining to me, it's trying to understand that actually nothing is set in stone, that sometimes we don't see things which are right in front of our eyes.
Well, I think it's my philosophy of imperfect understanding. And you know, if you understand that your understanding is imperfect, your understanding has actually improved. So it's partly correcting your own bias, and also understand that markets, instead of pricing companies correctly, actually always misprice them, either overvalue them or undervalue them. So to understand how those valuations change, because it's not enough to recognize that let's say a stock is undervalued, but you also have to identify what is going to change that valuation.
So is that your piece of advice that you'd give to investors, apart from having a strong stomach?
Well, that's right, and to correct your own